Thank you, Alicia. Good evening, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Madera City Council. Tonight is Wednesday, September 6, 2023. It is now 6 p.m. The Madera City Council meetings are open to the public. This meeting will also be available for public viewing and participation through Zoom. Members of the public may also observe the live stream meeting on the city's website at www.madera.gov/live. Members of the public may comment on agenda items at the meeting or remotely through an electronic meeting via phone by dialing 669-900-6833. Enter ID 832-7738, 4335 hashtag. Comments will also be accepted via email at citycouncilpubliccomment@madera.gov or by regular mail at 205 West 4th Street, Madera, California, 93637. I hereby call the regular meeting of the Madera City Council to order, and it is now 6:04. Alicia, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Garcia?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mejia?
Here.
Councilmember Gallegos?
Here.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Here.
Councilmember Montes?
Here.
Councilmember Evans?
Here.
Councilmember Villegas?
Here.
Thank you very much. Would you all please rise for the invocation led tonight by Pastor Sammy Neely of Mount Zion Baptist Church.
Let us bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, our most gracious Father, our most loving Father, we ask you, Lord, that you touch the hearts of our leaders, Lord, in this building, that you touch the councilmen, Lord, touch the mayor, Lord, that you open their minds up to things that may be revealed to them, Lord. I ask you, Lord, that I want to pray for our city, Lord, pray for the safety, Lord, pray for the police department, Lord, our fire department, and any city worker out here, Lord, that you keep them safe, Lord, and able to do their job. In your precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led tonight by Joseph Heap.
Great salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We will now move on to the approval of the agenda. We do have an announcement. Alicia?
Yes, Mayor. The resolution for item C3, the resolution for this item was revised after the agenda was published, and a copy of the reso has been distributed to council, and copies are available at the podium for members of the public if they so wish to obtain a copy.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
I just wanted to flag for item C2 that it may be recommended to continue it. We still have yet to receive the ballot from the developer. If we do not receive the ballot but from the developer at the time, we will recommend it be continued to the next regular meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Bring it back to council. Does the council members have any comments or changes to the agenda? If not, then I will ask for a motion.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
That's with the removal of item C2, correct?
If they're not here in time.
Okay, at this time, we'll approve the agenda pending the. Thank you very much. Council by Councilmember Montes, second by Councilwoman Gallegos. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. The ayes have it. We will now move on to public comment. First 15 minutes of the meeting are reserved for members of the public to address the council on items which are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. Speakers shall be limited to 3 minutes. Speakers will be asked but are not required to identify themselves and state the subject of their comments. If the subject is an item on the agenda, the mayor has the option of asking the speaker to hold a comment until that item is called. Comments on items listed as a public hearing on the agenda should be held until the hearing is opened. The council is prohibited by law from taking any action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda, and no adverse conclusion should be drawn if the council does not respond to public comment at this time. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak under public comment? Seeing none, Alicia, do we have any public comment in written or Zoom?
We have none, Mayor.
Thank you very much. We will now close public comment. Tonight, there are no written communications. We do have a presentation. Do we have the council here tonight yet?
I don't see her in the chambers.
Okay. We do have a proclamation for the consul, Mexican consulate from Fresno, but seeing that she's not here yet, we'll hold that to see if she shows up later. We do have a second. Nick, would you approach the podium? Our very good friend, Nick Salinas, and representing Old Timers Week. The Madera City Council will bestow a proclamation from the City Council for Old Timers Week. Whereas the 92nd anniversary of Old Timers Day will be celebrated in Madera on Saturday, September 30th, 2023. And whereas it has been the tradition to honor citizens who have been residents of the city or county for over 30 years with week-long activities, a parade down Yosemite Avenue, and a community-wide day in the park celebration on Saturday. Whereas it is fitting to recognize contributions made by Madera's old timers in the creation and development of the city and county of Madera. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Santos Garcia, Mayor of the City of Madera, and on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim September 25th through the 30th, 2023 as Old Timers Week. In representation of the Committee for Old Timers Week, Nick Salinas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, members of the council, and I'm really gracious for this proclamation you presented. As mentioned, this is the 92nd year of the Old Timers Day Parade, which is the longest running civic event in our county. So that's something to really be proud of. I really want to thank staff in the city, whether it was engineering or the police department. They've been phenomenal to work with, very responsive, very on top of things. And I'm glad to say that the parade is strongly underway this year. We have a lot of entries, a good number of entries that are going to be participating this year. And it really, even though I'm the one up here receiving the proclamation, this proclamation goes to a number of folks who have dedicated their time, their efforts, whether it's the Downtown Association, Sunrise Rotary, Evening Lions. We have a whole list of activities coming that week, which include the employee lunch in the park, the city county employee lunch in the park on Friday, as well as the Old Timers Dinner Dance that evening hosted by the Evening Lions as well. Then, of course, you wrap it up with the Old Timers Day Parade on Saturday. So, again, just want to say a huge thank you to the city, all those involved, and I'm glad to be a part to be able to carry on this legacy for our county. So, thank you. Okay.
Here you go. Thank you. Thank you. Finally did something right. First time up here. First time for everything.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I was going to stay up here. Look up it. Yes. Buenas. Pasa adelante, por favor. Si quiere traer a sus compañeros también. Bienvenido.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias por venir.
Con mucho gusto. Hola a todos, buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everyone.
So this evening, we have the honor of giving a proclamation to the Consul General from the city of Fresno for the the country of Mexico. This proclamation is an anniversary of the Mexican independence in the year of the 200th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the U.S. and Mexico. Whereas in the early hours of September 16th, 1810, Catholic priest Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla gave el grito de Dolores, a call to arms signaling the start of the war to liberate Mexico from Spanish rule. After 11 years of war, Spain withdrew its troops in August of 1821, and Mexico became an independent nation. This is a very long proclamation. I'm not going to read it all, but just to say that we are proud to have a friendship with the council, and we hereby proclaim this proclamation. And whereas that I, Santos Garcia, Mayor of the City of Madera, and on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim September 15, 2023, as the anniversary of the Mexican independence in the year 200th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the United States and Mexico.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Buenas tardes a todos. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to say some words in Spanish and then in English, if it's possible. So, el Consulado de México en Fresno agradece al alcalde y al Consejo de la Ciudad de Madera por la proclama que han aprobado para celebrar el 213 aniversario de la independencia de México y los 200 años de relaciones diplomáticas entre México y Estados Unidos. The Consulate of Fresno appreciate the Mayor and the City Council of Madera for the proclamation they have approved to celebrate the 213th anniversary of the independence of Mexico and 200 years of the diplomatic relations between Mexico and the United States. Los puentes de amistad que tenemos entre ambos países son cada vez más fuertes y más intensos. La ciudad de Madera es un gran ejemplo de estos vínculos que tenemos a través de las comunidades de mexicanas y mexicanos, principalmente oaxaqueños que residen en esta gran ciudad. The bridges of friendship between both countries are becoming stronger and more intense. The city of Madera is an excellent example of those ties we have through the Mexican communities, mainly Oaxacans, living in the great city of Madera. Madera ha elegido a la primera persona en Estados Unidos con raíces mixtecas para integrarse al Consejo y ser la voz de su comunidad en los espacios de toma de decisiones. Es por ello que para el Consulado de México en Fresno es un honor recibir esta proclama como símbolo de la amistad entre nuestros pueblos, el mexicano y el americano. Madera has elected the first person in the United States with Mixtec roots to join this council and be the voice of the community, of their community in decision-making positions. This is why it is an honor for the Consulate of Fresno to receive this proclamation as a symbol of friendship between our people, the Mexican and the American. Desde hace 92 años, el Consulado en Fresno ha sido testigo del empoderamiento de la comunidad mexicana y mexicoamericana en el Valle Central de California y seguirá siendo fiel aliado de la prosperidad de la ciudad de Madera. For 92 years, the Consulate in Fresno has witnessed the empowerment of the Mexican and Mexican-American community in the Central Valley of California and will remain a faithful ally for the prosperity of the city of Madera. Que viva México y que viva Madera.
Muchas gracias.
So no.
Ready, 1, 2, and 3.
Felicidades.
Muchas gracias.
Sí, ahí vamos a llegar.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Mayor, I'd like to say a few words.
Absolutely.
Muchas felicidades al consulado. Muchas gracias por estar aquí a nombre de nuestra comunidad mexicana, oaxaqueña aquí en Madera. Agradecemos los servicios consulares que proporcionan para los ciudadanos, también mexicoamericanos para tramitar la doble nacionalidad y han sido muy inclusivos. Así que muchas felicidades por su trabajo y nos vemos en la celebración el 15 de septiembre.
Hable con el micrófono si quiere. Esa es la invitación.
Yeah, for sure. We hope that the whole council of the city of Madera can join us on our celebration. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There are
You had a council member.
Councilmember Villegas.
Oh, I just quiero felicitar a la representante de la Consulado Mexicano. Gracias por venir. Muchas felicidades. Que sigan apoyando a la comunidad de la ciudad de Madera. Yo soy mexicano, nací en México y sé lo que es ser mexicano. Me gusta ser mexicano. Gracias por venir y las vamos a seguir felicitando por todo el trabajo que hacen en favor de la comunidad mexicana de México en todo Estados Unidos y especialmente en Madera. Gracias.
Que viva Zacatecas. Okay. Is there any other comments? Okay, pues muchas gracias. Andel, nos vemos. All right, we will now move on to item A. There are no workshops tonight. There are no other introductions. We will move on to the consent calendar. Matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, a member of the public or a member of the council may request an item be removed from the consent calendar and it will be considered separately.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
I just wanted to announce that the Love Madera presentation that was scheduled for this evening is postponed for a future meeting. April was unable to attend this evening.
Thank you very much, Alicia. We will certainly bring April back at a later time. Under the consent calendar, Alicia, do we have any members of the public wishing to speak on this item, the consent calendar? Are there any written members of the?
We have none, Mayor.
I will now close public comment and I will ask for a discussion from my colleagues and or a motion.
Move to approve consent as presented.
Second it.
Motion to approve the consent calendar by Councilmember Montes, second by Councilwoman Evans. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion passes. Thank you very much. We will now move on to item C, public hearings. The first item is C1, rezone property located at 405 Vineyard Avenue, rezone 2023-02. I will announce that there is translation available. Correct, Alicia? If it's for this item, if it's needed, please raise your hand and someone will assist you. Va a haber traducción para cualquier persona que quiera y necesita traducción para este artículo. Si alguna persona necesita traducción al español del inglés, por favor levante la mano. Okay. Mr. Conti, do you have this item?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. And good evening to you and to all the council members this evening. Let me take a moment here and go ahead and share my screen for you all. And by the way, not seeing the audience, is there a need for a translation service?
I believe not.
Okay. All right. That's helpful to know so I know how to pace myself here on the screen. All right, does everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let me get you to the PowerPoint then. All right, good evening. I'm Gary Conti, Planning Manager. And this evening for you, this presentation is on 405 Vineyard Avenue, rezone number 2023-02. The proposal before you is a rezone of approximately 0.3 of an acre, which is roughly about 13,175 square feet at 405 Vineyard Avenue. To confirm with the state, with the site's general plan low density residential land use designation. The rezone would change the subject site from R2, which is a 1 unit for each 3,000 square feet of site area, to R1, which is 1 unit for each 6,000 square feet of site area. The applicant is proposing and desires to go ahead and expand the property uses by subdividing the property into 2 parcels. However, at this time, there is no development or improvements in association with the division of the property that is being proposed for division at this time. The location of the property here is basically at the corner of Clinton and Vineyard Avenue, and it's adjacent to call it a pedestrian walkway, bicycle path that is above a canal system. And it's highlighted here in red for you on the screen. The general plan land use designation for this subject site is low density residential. And it's highlighted here as I just indicated. The existing zoning of the property is R2, as I mentioned earlier. And here again, the references to the location of the particular property and consistent with the surrounding lands as we speak. What is being proposed, as I mentioned, is an R1 zone district. And again, the highlighted area represents that location, and this would move it to an R1. This project, along with the tentative parcel map and the variance for the subject site, was presented to the Planning Commission on April 11th for consideration. And the commission at that time found the proposed rezone to be in conformance with the general plan. The tentative parcel map and the variance that also was considered that evening is subject to the affirmative action before the council this evening. With that, what is being recommended to council at this point in time is to go ahead and waive the full reading and introduce this ordinance, amending the official city zoning map, rezoning approximately 0.3 acres at 405 Vineyard Avenue from R2 zone district to an R1 zone district, and to adopt the proposal's environmental determination pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15315, minor land use division, and the common sense exemption set forth under CEQA guidelines section 15061, subset B, subset 3. I'm going to remind the council that this is the first of 2 readings for this particular action. I'm happy to entertain any questions that you may have at this time.
Thank you very much, Gary. I will now open the public hearing on item C1. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? Lisa, do we have any written or Zoom comments?
We have none, Mayor.
Thank you very much. We will now close public comment. I will now ask for discussion from my colleagues on this item. Councilmember Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Garcia. Mr. Conte, just a quick clarification. So the item before us is to adopt the current zoning, but it also mentions the split of the parcel. That'll happen after. That's the intent, I'm assuming.
Yes. What's being asked that is before you this evening is actually to rezone the property, of course, to from R2 to R1. As I mentioned, the Planning Commission did hear this particular item, and it's contingent upon the action of this City Council approving the rezone. Should City Council not approve the rezone, then the tentative map and the variance associated with the property would be moot.
Perfect. And I just, for purposes of this meeting here and wanting to understand, normally people want to increase the amount of housing within the allotted space. In this case, it's because of the splitting of the parcels, right? To try to have maybe one residential building in each parcel, correct?
That would be correct. That would give the opportunity for both parcels to be developed as a single-family home. One already has an existing dwelling, as showed in the aerial. The second one would be vacant at this time. Both properties would be entitled to the, should the applicant and or owners of the property over time desire to build additional units on the property, they may do so as an ADU, for example.
Perfect. Thank you. That's all.
Any further comments?
I'll move to approve item C1. Second that.
Motion to approve item C1 by Councilmember Rodriguez, second by Councilmember Montes. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Gary, for that report.
You're welcome.
We moving the second item.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have yet to receive the ballot from the developer, so the recommendation is for the city council to make a motion to continue this item to October 4th at 6 p.m. at the next regular city council meeting.
So I move that we continue this item to October 4th. Is that what I said? October 4th meeting.
Second.
Motion to
They came in. No.
motion to move the item C2 to the next meeting on October the 4th by Councilmember Montes, second by Councilwoman Evans. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes.
And Mayor, just to be clear, by move, we were continuing.
That's
the point.
correct.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
we will continue. Thank you. We will now move on to item C3, public hearing to consider changes to the master fee schedule for planning fees and technical adjustment to solid waste fees. Mr. Lima, do you have this item?
Yes, I do, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Mike Lima, Director of Financial Services. This evening, we are looking at a public hearing to consider changes to the master fee schedule for planning fees and a technical adjustment to the solid waste fees. Fees that were listed, fees in the master fee schedule have not been updated since July 2018. I mentioned that to council previously. Given the length of time since the last increase, staff sought council direction regarding fees at the June 21st, 2023 meeting. Council gave direction to increase fees by 6%, but only for those organizational units whose net costs had increased by more than 6%. After doing analysis, we had originally indicated that we were going to be recommending approval of an increase in planning fees. But over the last couple of days, we've received several comments from constituents and residents and expressing concern about those. We wish to engage with those residents in order to kind of work out the issues. And so in light of those comments and the interaction with residents, we are recommending postponing those increases and not voting on them tonight. As a result, we updated the resolution, which is what you have in front of you. So it no longer mentions the planning fees. It is strictly related to the solid waste fees. Solid waste rates were approved by council on July 20th, 2022. However, the rates for multifamily residential users were inadvertently left out of the enabling documents. Staff is requesting that these rates be officially adopted through the resolution that you have in front of you. These are the rates. What is on the screen right now are the rates that were adopted or were in the rate study from that was presented to council last July. The current rate is being billed is about $23 roughly. That would move up to the rate of 8.1 of 23 to 3.1 of 24, or 41.82 for the first two dwelling units and 38.42 for each additional one. While revenue from the solid waste adjustment is technically not in the FY 23-24 adopted budget, expenditures in that fund have been set at a level that assumes the revenue will be collected. Fee amendments were noticed in the Madera Tribune on August 26th and on September 2nd. This technical correction for solid waste fees is proposed for implementation on October 1st. We've already sent out the bills for September, so this would be the next billing cycle that we would be able to bill. In addition, I believe I've mentioned this before, but I will reiterate, staff is going to be hiring a consultant to conduct an overall review of the city's fees in order to make recommendations regarding future adjustments. Planning fees will be part of this overall revenue review. Staff, yeah, you probably also remember in a previous meeting, I said we were going to be adjusting code enforcement fines. After talking with our city attorney, he mentioned that these are not part of the master fee schedule, but actually part of the Madera Municipal Code. And there are some additional legal requirements that have to be met in order to bring those. So we are going to meet those requirements and bring those code enforcement fines back to you at your meeting in October. So our recommendation tonight is that staff hold the public hearing on the proposed fee adjustments and that you that you adopt the solid waste fee adjustments that go into effect on October 1st of 2023. That's my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Lima. I will now open the public hearing. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on item C3? Seeing none, we will move on to written or Zoom comments, Alicia.
We have none, Mayor.
Alrighty, thank you very much. I will now close public comment and bring it back to my colleagues for discussion and or a motion.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion to approve item C3 by Councilwoman Evans, second by Councilmember Villegas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, nay. Alicia, can we have a roll call, please?
Jeez. Councilmember Gallegos?
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilmember Montes?
No.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mejia?
Yes.
Councilmember Villegas?
Yes.
And Mayor Garcia.
Yes.
Motion passes with 6 yes votes and 1 no vote.
Thank you very much. Motion passes on a 6-1 vote. Thank you very much, Mr. Lee. And we'll nice catch on that, Shannon, on the fees for the that we need to continue that for another meeting. We continue the other one. Yeah. Item D: petitions, bids, resolution, ordinances, and agreements. Item D1 is an agreement on-call asphalt and concrete patching services. Ishmael Hernandez, do you have this item?
Yes, I do, Mayor. Thank you. Let me share my screen here. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So again, thank you, Mayor and Council. This item D1 is for approval of an agreement for on-call asphalt and concrete patching services. The city issued a request for proposal for on-call asphalt and concrete patching services for streets and alleyways on June 21st, 2023. The RFP was advertised in the Madera Tribune on July 22nd, 2023, and again on July 29th, 2023. It was sent to 5 construction journals, posted to Planet Bids, where 27 vendors were notified, and the city notified 23 local firms. We received 1 bid from Whitbro Incorporated, doing business as Steelwright Paving and Grading. That was our sole bidder. The agreement is for the fiscal year 23-24 with an option to extend for 1 additional year if we can do so by mutual consent from both parties. Work must be, any work that we request must be completed by the contractor under this agreement within 30 days of the request or the assignment by the city. The aggregate amount spent under the agreement may not surpass $590,000, which is the amount that was approved in our current fiscal year budget. This chart shows some unit of measure costs. For saw cutting is $5 per linear foot. That's the bottom row there. The other 3 rows are all for concrete patching plus a specialized fog seal, which helps the asphalt to retain its oils. And depending on the amount, the quantity that we call the contractor in to do, whether it's 0 square feet to $499, 500 to $699, or 700 square feet and up, the unit prices there change. Obviously, we do everything we can to wait until we have at least 700 square feet of asphalt requiring patching before we call the contractor in. This contractor is the same one that we've been using for a couple of years. We've done a 1-year contract with them, and this is the first time we're doing it with a 1-year extension, just to make it easier to go 1 more year with this contractor. So the recommendation is that council adopt a resolution approving an on-call asphalt and concrete patching services agreement with Whitbro Incorporated, doing business as Sealright Paving and Grading for the fiscal year 23-24. And if council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer those for you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Do we have any members of the public wishing to speak or ask questions on item T1? Do we have any written or Zoom comments, Alicia?
We have none, Mayor.
Thank you. I'll now close public comment, and I'll bring it back for discussion and a motion by my colleagues.
So move to approve D1 as presented.
Second.
Motion to approve item D1 by Councilwoman Gallegos, second by Councilmember Villegas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The motion passes. Thank you very much for that. We will now move on to item E, administrative reports. Item E1 is a Parks and Community Services Department fiscal year 2023-2024 planned improvement projects. Mr. Ebert.
Mr. Mayor, Council. Yes, Joe Hebert, Director of Parks and Community Services. If you recall, back in, let's see if I can get this going. There we go. August 2nd, 2023. We had a request from Mayor Pro Tem Mejia and Councilman Rodriguez for an update on the Rotary Sports Complex playground and also the equipment and also the Vernon McCullough River Trail effort. This item is to provide council an update of the projects that we have, those 2 projects plus the others. We thought it would be prudent to go through every project as opposed to doing one-offs on those 2. So just so we wouldn't have to come back multiple times. As you'll see, we have about 11 projects ongoing at the moment. The 11 projects that we have are total roughly $5.8 million. $5.6 million is from state and federal grants or earmarked funding from state partners. $135,000 is from the general fund. Not included on the list of the 11 projects are 3 new parks that we have in process. These parks are Tozer Park, Pecan Square Park, and KB Homes Park. These will be funded through development impact fees, which are similar to the recently completed Almond Park. The first project that I'll go through is the Town and Country restroom remodel. This project is through Proposition 68 per capita grant program. We were awarded $177,952 in state funds. This is probably one of the most pressing projects that we have right now, and because the due date is the end of March of next year. The funding for this was for improvements to remodel the restroom located at Town and Country between ball fields 1 and 2. The city we're in the process of going through a release to bid. We're actually out there this morning surveying for ADA compliance. You can kind of see the location that I mentioned between ball fields 1 and 2, and then everybody knows these restrooms, I think, who's familiar with the park, and they're in great need of updating. So it's something that's heavy on our minds. You can see the restroom again. This is something, I don't know how old it is, but it's very old. I would say it's probably close to my age, so which is old. The second project that we have is it was through Proposition 68 statewide park program. We were awarded $1.9 million, and we've already held 5 community meetings where the public helped conceptually design the park as part of the grant. We've enlisted Odell Engineering as a consultant, and they've completed phase 1 and 2 of this project. They're finalizing phase 3. This project is actually one that is probably going to be more progressive than some of the parks that we've had in the past. We've had a lot of discussions on how to do this, but I think this one you'll be very pleased once it's done. This one has the most runway. It's not due until 2028, so we've got some time to finish this, but we're moving as fast as we can. I know we have a planned groundbreaking on October 23rd to kind of kick this off. We have a rendering of what the park will look like, and we're going to have a nice little ceremony out there when we do kick this off. This was what I was talking about. This looks different than any other park that we have in the city. If you can see, it's like a lot of colors, things that we don't quite have right now, but I think it's more futuristic than anything we've done before. And we want this to be more of an iconic park to represent the city. The third project that we're working on is the Vernon McCullough Trail and Fresno River. This was part of the Clean California grant that was awarded last year. This grant for approximately $832,000 and $350,000. This includes litter abatement and new trash receptacles and improvements to the trail, and then the installation of exercise equipment and playground equipment with a swing set at Riverview Park. It also includes the installation of educational signage and trail markers along the trail. I know we've had a lot of discussions about the park at Riverview that are ongoing, so I will say, we're going to continue those discussions, but right now this one is almost ready to go. So those discussions are going to have to speed up. I just want to be clear that we were ready to, start the installation next Monday. To continue this, so far we've spent a lot of money in the river already for litter abatement, $195,000 out of the $800 that we've been awarded. We were pretty much set to have the installation completed by October. Like I said, this was going to probably start on Monday, but we have some discussions with some citizens and some council members that we need to go through. We did do an invitation for bid to be we're working on an invitation to bid for the trail resurfacing right now. What we also have pending is work to be done for the 36 trash receptacles, which will replace those along the trail. We're planning to work with MUSD as far as some of the artwork and doing some educational artwork on those receptacles as well. During the past several weeks, staff has focused on McCullough River Trail cleanup, including the following: prioritization of locations along the trail, specifically underpasses and the removal of sand buildup at these locations, removal of low-limb trees. I know some of you walk those trails. We've been trying to clean those up. So I think when I first got here, there were people kind of hiding in the bushes. And so we're trying to mitigate that by cutting back the vegetation along those. We've been really conscious and intentional about weed blowing and utilization of the sweeper for portions of the trail, not including the river bottom, and also been patching of the asphalt. My staff has been dedicating Saturdays to complete this work. You've probably seen them out there. We've been using a lot of overtime to stay on top of this. We've had a lot of growth because of the rain that we had during the winter. So we're trying to stay ahead of this. You can see some of the things that we're looking. These are the receptacles that are out there now, and those are the ones that we're looking to replace. You can tell they're somewhat dated, and we're going to make a conscious effort to update those with some artwork. So the Riverview Park, this is the one that we've actually had a lot of discussions over the last few weeks about. You can see the park here, what's dedicated is this yellow area here. The park where we're looking to do it is to install the park is in the open space right there in the middle. This is the design for the park. It's about 40 feet by 90 feet with a 4-foot fence around the perimeter. This is the open space that we're talking about. We've looked at other alternatives. I know we've had some complaints from a couple citizens. I've spent some time talking to them. I think Councilman Montez and Councilwoman Gallegos have talked to the same people I've talked to, I'm pretty sure. But this was the area that was designated by our installer. So we do, we like I said, we have some more discussions on this project. The Rotary Park asphalt curb and gutter is the fourth project that we have going on. This is funded by the general fund for approximately $55,000. Right now, we're trying to finalize the bidding documents, and we should have that. We've got some input from engineering. We're working very closely, and I think we're going to get this finally and get this one done. I thought this was going to be an easy one, but it didn't turn out that way. But I think we're directionally correct right now as far as I think we have a plan of action. As you can see, these are where the curbing is. If you take a drive along that park, you'll see there's a lot of curbing that needs to be updated and replaced. The Sunrise Rotary Sports Complex Playground is another one that we thought would be somewhat easy, but it was a little more complex than what we originally envisioned. But $50,000 of this will come from the general fund and $15,000 from the Chick-Chansey Community Benefit Grant. The equipment was originally purchased in 2016, and some items needed to be replaced due to damage, missing parts, and/or warranty. The cost to replace these parts was $16,124. One of the things that we found by going back to this, we learned a lot of new phrases on my team, like bid splitting, going through the formal bid process, and engineering estimates, and making sure we had the correct specifications. We had to kind of do a reset. We thought we were going to be done. I thought it was just a simple installation, but it turned out to be, there's a little more involved when you're doing a municipal project than what you would do out in the other world. But I think we have, like I said, we've partnered with engineering. We've gotten a lot of assistance over the last month as far as drawing up engineering estimates and specifications. So I think we're getting closer than we were before. You can see right here where the existing playground is, and you can also see this is where the new playground will be. Right now, it's just an open space, and I find it a little bit unsightly, but we'll have it done. I think that's just an opportune place for a playground. We've done a lot of work over the last four weeks as updating this park, and that's on our agenda as a priority. McNally Park improvements. I talked about this for quite a few times already. We're looking. This was a CBDG grant for $609,000 and some change. We're going to replace the playground equipment, basketball courts, and an installation of a swing set. Some of you might already seen one of my previous presentations. We already started this process. The installers are out there now. This week. We're looking to have this done. Hopefully by the end of the month. That's kind of our target. So just plan for another photo op, and we're going to have a little thing out there. The next phase of this will address the reconstruction of the 2 basketball courts and a possible addition of a half court, should the budget allow. We're still getting some estimates on how to proceed on this one. This is what the playground structure. This is what's going to be installed. Like I said, we've started. You can see it's nothing there right now, but it is making progress. I would encourage all of you kind of just to take a ride past it and take a look at the progress that we've made so far. It's coming along, and that's a good sign. This is another easy one that didn't turn out to be quite so easy. This is for Dick's Sporting Goods batting cages over at Town and Country. We were awarded $25,000. We estimate that it's going to be $55,000 to complete. 30,000 of the 55 will come from the general fund. Again, this project has to go through the municipal requirements of the informal bid process, an engineering estimate, and a detailed specification. Again, I thought this was one that we could just build it and they would come, but there's a little more involved in that. These batting cages will be open to the public, and we hope to have this again. I think we've got our act together as far as engineering support and getting the estimates and specs in line. And also we're working with MUSD. We've actually looked at their batting cages and we have their specifications already, so we can kind of plagiarize what's already been done. That's really the goal. Again, the batting cages, we picked out a site for those. We've actually, this was done a while ago, but you can see right there behind the Little League ball field 1, and it'll be, again, open to the public. And it'll be 2 shoots for some of you who baseball aficionados. It'll look like this is what we hope. There should be, but there will be a fence around it as well. But this is kind of a good description of what we're looking to build. In Centennial Park, I've gone over this one before. This was awarded when we got our CDBG money earlier this year, $215,000. That we were awarded. We will retile and replaster of the lap and diving pool. And then if we have funding, depending on how the bids come in, we like to do shade sails for high temperature, no UV protection. Again, this will require us to go through the process. But again, this has a short runway because we've got to stay in between when the pool season, when the pool closes and when it opens again. So the estimate, we've got to have this done by April of next year. And so on or before, that's really our target. So again, we've tried to prioritize the short runway projects, and this is one of them. Again, you can kind of see what we're talking about, the dive pool and the lap pool and the kiddie pool. So these things have, this is some deferred maintenance, I believe, but I think we have a good line of sight on this one as well. Again, another award that we received earlier this year was Frank Burgon Senior Center improvements. We received approximately $386,000 for CBDG this year, and the goal is to put an insulation, do a perimeter fence around the center. Again, that's we've got a homeless issue there, and I think we want to mitigate that. One of the other things we're looking at is kind of updating the patio area and doing a beautification project to improve the aesthetics and also some of the lighting and landscaping around the Burgon Center. So again, we've got to go through the process, but I think we've got enough partners who are helping us to get through this. So I think we know what we're doing now. This one we've talked about before. This was the Madera block wall enhancement. You all remember this one. You picked an option for us to proceed. Right now, we're just finalizing the maintenance agreement, and that's the one hold up, and we'll have that done shortly. So we're working on that. So I think we've working with Caltrans, who've been very supportive on this project. So we're heading down the right road with this. This one, again, this should sound real familiar. The Lions Town and Country Trail reconstruction. We've received money from state funds for $1.6 million. There's $1.1 million from the State Natural Resource Agency and $500 from the State Department of Parks and Recreation. As funding allows, once we've got a good line of sight on how much the trail will cost, we'll see if we can do some other projects around town and country as well. So that would be the parking area, maybe expanding the playground, and then some improvements to the amphitheater. Mm-hmm. And just as an aside, I think we're going to improve the amphitheater whether we get these funds or not. I think we have the talent to do this ourselves. So that's one of the things that's on my agenda. We've actually already started working with engineering. We did secure Odell Engineering as an on-call consultant. We've just started talking to them this week, and so they're really gung ho. We're looking to at least have a groundbreaking on this again by November. So mark your calendars. That's where we're going. We're moving. This is another one that we're moving as fast as we can. We're actually sprinting on this, and so we'll get it done. Again, you can see the trail. I've showed these pictures before. It's not a pretty sight. And it's something that we this is on near and dear to everybody's heart. I think whenever we post anything about any of our other parks, we talked about McNally, I get comments and calls I get comments on my Facebook page, and I get calls saying, hey, what are you going to do about Town and Country? And so I have to go through a whole explanation of saying, hey, it's real difficult to get money over there because of the census tract, but it's an argument that, I think we can mitigate once we get this going. So this is going to be a big project for us, and it'll be a big win for the city. Some of our pending grant applications, we have actually already applied for cycle 2 for the Clean California local grant program. And we're going to use, if we win, we're going to use that for the Rotary Park rehabilitation. And we've requested $2.7 million. But the thing that we have to keep in mind, this also requires a match of $689,000. So we should get notification before the end of this month. And then also we've applied for an outdoor recreation legacy partner grant for Tozier Park. And we've requested $659,000. And we'll be notified by January of the next year. So that's what we have going on. Any questions, I'm here to answer.
Thank you, Joseph. Pretty good. Pretty good. Green space is very important to us. Are there any members of the public wishing to comment on item E1? Seeing none, Alicia, do we have any written or Zoom comments?
We have none, Mayor.
Thank you very much. I'll now close public comment and bring it back to my colleagues for comments. Councilmember Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Garcia. Joseph, first of all, I want to say thank you to you and your light staff in paying attention to our parks. I've been in council now since 2016, and I got to tell you, this is the first time that we go through a thorough briefing of where we're at with our parks, green space, senior center, trails, everything. I do appreciate you bringing that up. Appreciate the fact that you're trying to find us and bridging the gap for the funded needed for some of the green spaces that we have. You've also taken the initiative and coordinating with the golf course and supporting and creating the advisory committee. I really appreciate that. More importantly, with MUSD, I know that we've worked with them, collaborate with them as well, and not only forming partnerships as far as leases that they have within our centers, but also providing and sharing resources for our youth. So with that, I really wanted to say thank you. I know that our constituents truly appreciate it. I know seniors do, the youth does, and so do the residents here in Madera. I do have 2 questions. Riverview Park, you mentioned that there was some complaints. We did receive a letter. I'm assuming that's the similar complaint is basically the view would be an obstruction for some of the residents there. Can we add, is there anything else that any other complaints aside from what we?
That's the only one we received. And I think so far I've received 3 complaints, but one family, one other person. So I don't know who else, but those are the people I've talked to. I'm sure you've talked to some other folks.
I had a meeting with them on Friday. There was actually 3 families.
Okay.
That were out there.
Yeah. So
I just wanted to know if there was anything that would hinder us from moving forward. I know it's going to be a big conversation that we may have to take with the residents there, because I think for them, from my understanding, it's more of a, well, there isn't any children that play in that area or don't reside there, maybe from what I heard, and maybe that's just going to be a.
Well, if I can, that was going to be my question. So I did have the meeting with them, and I was able to talk to them. It isn't so much that they did have some of those concerns, right? People parking, but ultimately the resolution was if it can just be moved essentially over to one side. I think the first recommendation was all the way to the east, because that's where you have the most open space, but it does narrow. So I did explain to them that we have to check about utilities, and the trees were a factor. Because just looking at the site, that's the most open area. So Joe has been answering some of the questions that they've had. And I don't know, given the timeline, of the installation of, was it Monday the 11th or Monday the 18th?
That was Monday the 11th.
So would we have time to address that? Because we would have to look and see what the utilities are. Would we have time, given that timeline, to address those concerns?
Sure. We're not going to, we've already contacted the installer and said we had some issues, so we might have to move the install date out a little bit. I plan to come back. I'm not going to make a unilateral decision without you all, without input from council. So that's kind of my plan. We've also, as an alternative, depending on what you recommend, we've looked at alternative sites. My boss has looked, has suggested we just pour that money back into the river. I'm not sure we're going to do that, but we have some other sites because since we've already bought the equipment, and that's one of the things that is going to mitigate that. But our plan is I'll wait for your direction, or if you need me to talk to the citizens as well. One of the things that looked at, this was already designated as a park, so I wasn't sure. And from my understanding, looking at the records, there was a park there before, and so I believe, yeah. So that's we were thinking this was a no-brainer, easy one.
I think the equipment was a little bit further to the east.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can see some of the pads. There's still, I think there used to be a barbecue pit out there that I think got stolen at some point. Yeah, if we can look at that, at least so that we can have an answer, like, okay, if it's just not possible.
Yeah, we're going to have to. I think I emailed you too. We'll probably have to go back to the installer because we were kind of relied on their expertise to. They did all the site review. They contacted PG&E, to make sure there was no lines, and they also had concerns about trees, and then also the safety being too close to the curb to the street, and so that was one of the factors. So I mean that we kind of relied on them. That's not my wheelhouse, but we can always go back if we have another suggestion.
No, and it makes sense. So the location, looking at it, it makes sense. But then when we had the feedback from the community, we want to be sensitive to that, to their concerns as well.
No, I totally get it. I think, and one of the things I sent you, there are kids there. It's like 12.9% children.
I lived on Oakland Street, but
I just want to make sure, Mr. Rodriguez, did you finish?
No, I just want to make sure. Thank you for addressing that. But I did want to say I'm glad that we're engaging with the residents. I look at it as a future investment in the community generations to come. So if there is a designation for that park, I'm glad that we're taking the initiative, engaging with the residents. I hope that we can come up with a compromise, but more importantly, that the need for that park, need for spaces certainly is there. And if that's we can accommodate that, I would love to see that move forward. Last but not least, I didn't see on your list, and I'm sorry, we've added quite a bit of things on the list here, but maybe something we can bring back is a Sunset Park. I know at some point, and there's conversations about that. That's not part of this discussion, but maybe we can bring that back since we're talking about parks.
We'll get to. We have a plan, so I can come back and talk about that.
And that's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Was that all you had, Mr. Montes?
Oh, I can wait my turn. I wasn't the next one up. I jumped in because we were talking about it, and I just had some other information from the residents.
Councilmember Gallegos.
Thank you, Mayor Garcia. Just to chime in first about the park, many students of mine do live in that area quite a bit, and I had parents come up to me while I'm crosswalking, talking to me and saying, what do they need to do? Because they've heard in the neighborhood that it's not going to be built. And I said, that's not true. Our team is looking at it. So if we need their views, they would like to come in and also express their concerns because there's a lot of students that live in those areas. I'd like to thank you, Joseph, like Councilman Rodriguez reiterate, 7 years of not seeing much happening with parks in the city of Madera. And you have a lot on your plate. You have 11 projects and 8 of them are due by June of 2024. So that's hats off to engineering that has to go through you before Director Aber can take off from that. So thank your team for that, Keith. We totally appreciate it. And that's all, Mayor Garcia.
Councilwoman Evans.
Yes, I would like to also piggyback and say thank you for all the hard work for your team. For the river cleanup, thank you so very much for that. For McNally, for the trail, I am truly appreciative of that. My little puppy will be quite happy as well. And just continue the work that you guys are doing. It's really great. I would really like to see the trail extend all the way past the area there on Lincoln and to Larry if possible, but that's something that can come maybe into the future. But thank you guys very much for all the hard work that you're doing.
Bless you.
And pass the gratitude on. Thank you.
Sure.
Councilmember Montes.
I would also like to thank you, Joe, putting up with me and, asking questions and sending stuff, late at night. But so the other question I had is kind of in the same vein as Councilmember Evans. The termination of the park or of the trail on the west side, it terminates at city limit, right? So if it was, because one of the questions that they had was it going to be extended out, but that'd be in the county. So there's no plan on extending it out west.
No, right now, I think we just talked to Odell 2 days ago, kind of had a kickoff meeting with them, and we talked about the possibility. One of the things that we did look at, and that was in consultation with engineering as well, is the trail doesn't loop as you get closer to the softball fields. And so making it loop around, so it's a real trail is what we've been discussing. Again, we've only had limited funds as well. So we want to make sure we got to get bids to figure out how much we can actually do. And we're looking at a couple of alternatives for the trail itself. One is seems to be significantly more expensive than the other alternative, but we don't really know until we start.
I'm sorry. I was talking about the river trail.
Oh, the river trail. I'm sorry. No, we're just redoing that one. That's I thought you were talking about Town and Country. So yeah, that one we're just redoing the asphalt on the trail. So we haven't really looked into extending it with these funds. It's something we can consider. I just don't know how much it'll cost.
Well, I think on the east side would be extendable, but that's my question. On the west side, it's not even.
I'd have to investigate. Okay. Yeah, I haven't even looked at that. So. Yeah, I think that one's on my 6:30 list. Yeah. So the other one's on my immediate, but we can, that's something we can actually look at for sure.
Have conversations.
Mayor Pro Tem Mejia.
Thank you, Joe, for the very thorough report. In regard to Riverview, some of the additional concerns that were raised were about the increased parking along the park strip, and then often residents needing to clean up trash that was left behind, and they feel that there would be an increase in this. And so I think that given the mixed opinions that my colleagues have received, I wouldn't be against having this public discussion, if that would be possible, to welcome them to present those.
I welcome. Yeah. Again, we're open. We're open to suggestions. So,
Councilmember Villegas.
Thank you, Joseph. I see you have a lot of projects coming up, so that's pretty good. We need a lot of remodeling around the city of Madera. So I see the McNeely Park. You guys already did something over there. So I'm watching you guys. So I also like that Town and Country Park. So the trail, that's pretty good. I like to go over there. So, every park is needed. Every park in any side of the town it's all good. So thank you for that and keep on going.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Yeah, I just had one last question. I'm talking about the river trail, Mr. Aber. I noticed that ground squirrels have really done some damage with their burrowing and what have you. Is that something that we consistently have to fix often? And if so, what is obviously there's not a permanent resolution because they're really all over the place. And I don't know if that's come up quite a bit.
We've addressed ground squirrels over at Millview, and we've used traps and bait. We have, when I got here, I was focused on gophers over at Town and Country. I think that was my big thing. So, and then the ground squirrels over at Millview. So again, that's something we can address. I don't know what the answer is. It's a constant battle, is what I can tell you. And so it's just something I can look into. I don't have a firm answer for you right now, but something I can definitely.
The only reason why I said is because there's a lot of effort in trying to get those trails going. They have their burrows underneath it. The pavement or asphalt caves in, and then you have a sunken hole there that could potentially, lead to some type of liability. So, I know that it's not easy to get rid of them, but I was just wondering if that's a constant fix alongside the trail.
It probably is, but I can tell you, I've been responding to, I guess, citizen calls. When I first got here, the calls had to do with gophers. And then, so I haven't gotten a lot of calls about ground squirrels, but we did try to address it. I know I just witnessed it over at the Millview Park that there was a problem. And so we started being intentional about that. And we can take the same intention on the trail as well. I just haven't been aware of that one.
Good. I know that we haven't got calls on the crows yet, so we'll work on those next time.
Yeah, I heard about possums, but
yes,
you're a golfer. Maybe we can get Bill Murray from Caddyshack.
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Mejia.
In regard to the project cost for each of these, for example, for Sunrise Rotary, the total already factors in like the parts that are going to have to be replaced.
Yeah, we've already spent that. So this is the rest. This is the delta.
Okay, and then when the anticipated completion dates are set, how are those set?
So it'll be determined by when we get this design spec done, the engineering estimate, and then we go through the bid process. So those are 3 steps that have to happen before I really have a good line of sight. I can only set a target right now. And my target is to have this done by the 30th, but the goal is to complete it way before then. Some of these, I just think they seem simple, but we didn't follow those steps. We need to follow those steps, and those are municipal steps. And I was joking with Councilwoman Gallegos. I says, the fastest project I did was when we didn't follow process. And so I can't do that anymore. So, so we really want to be intentional about following process. so that I don't want to get anybody in trouble. So so that's what we're doing right now. And I think once we get a cadence done, like I said, engineering has been real helpful assigning us some dedicated engineers to kind of help us through the process, because we don't speak engineering estimates, we speak parks, and fun. So we're I think once we get a cadence done, we get one down, they'll flow. And I think we've got a good handle on that now.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question. This is more toward Arnoldo. We had met with Congressman Duarte, and he had mentioned the Army Corps of Engineers doing reimbursements of folks who had worked on the river. And I know, Joe, you had mentioned the fact about how much we've spent on the river already, even if we don't go down into the river bottom. But if there's possibilities of getting some of our monies that we spent, we should definitely look into that. I don't know if we've made a phone call yet or if it's on our radar.
So, Mayor, that is on our radar. I've been on jury duty for a couple of weeks, so I just haven't had an opportunity. But as soon as I have an opportunity, probably tomorrow, I'll be reaching out to Joshua to explore potential reimbursement opportunities for the river. We currently still are working in the river bottom. We still have an active emergency permit. And so Joe's team has been focusing on the trail, whereas Ishmael's team has been focusing on the embankments primarily and on portions of the river bottom, trying to make sure that we have some sound and decent fire breaks, because as this council is aware, that's been one of our big challenges for a couple of years now is our fires in the river. And so we've been very cognizant of that. And at the same time, through our code enforcement team and our partner at O&E, we have dedicated a tremendous amount of resources to simple litter abatement. And that it bleeds into the parks, specifically Rotary Park on Gateway and some other nearby open spaces. So it's a constant challenge. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. And I think, though, we have to be very diligent and stay on top of it. So to answer your question, Mayor, yes, I'll be reaching out to Congressman Duarte's office.
Yeah, great. That's good. Any kind of reimbursement we can get would be beneficial. On that call today, Councilman Rodriguez and Councilwoman Gallegos were also on the call, and they also heard the congressman speaking about the reimbursements and the permits for river cleanup. So they mentioned it again today. So it would be something that we would definitely want to be looking into to get some of this money back. The only other question I had was regarding the Riverview playground. cost? What have we spent so far on that?
I was trying to find that. I want to say it's probably in the neighborhood of about $100,000 just on the equipment, but I could be wrong. I'm just, that was my guess right now. So.
And do you anticipate if we were to move it, there would be additional costs?
No, we've looked at some spots. The equipment will stay the same. I think the installation might change a little bit depending on what if it's an even place. We looked at a number of spots on Monday just in anticipation of this to see what would happen. I just want to get a front of it and have a plan B. So I don't know what it'll cost, if it'll be additional, but I don't think it'll be. If it is, I think it'll be minimal is my guess.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that comprehensive report. I think we all were reminded of all the work that's being done by yourself and your staff. So thank you very much. Okay. We will now move on to item F, council member reports, announcements, future agenda items. This portion of the meeting is reserved for the mayor and council members to make brief reports on boards, committees, and other public agencies, and at public events, to request updates, to initiate future agenda items, to take action on matters initiated under this section of the agenda. Under this section, the council may take action only on items specifically agendized and which meet other requirements for action. Councilwoman Gallegos.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a shout out to our parks workers who are working on Saturday. We appreciate all their hard work. And everyone, don't forget it's Fair Week. Try to make it out to Madera Fair. Thank you.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Garcia. I just wanted to reiterate what the mayor had said earlier about Congressman Duarte. He did extend an opportunity for us to apply for certain grants. There was a site that we can visit to see about trying to get some grants that are available for, I think more so for watershed with all the water that we receive, but more importantly, he did talk about the Bureau of Reclamations and or the Fish and Game, how hard it has been for us to get a permit when we wanted to clean the Fresno River. So I wanted to express my concern about possibly increasing funding for the flood control, so we can utilize some of the additional funds to help clean up that river. I would encourage not only this council, but even our staff to try to go out and after those grants or additional funds if we can. There seems to be some money coming down the pike, and it may be to address issues such as levees and with the floods that took place here in California, especially our Central Valley. But I would certainly encourage for us to try to see if we can get additional funds to help us with that flood control and utilize those funds in combination with the other funds that we got to clean our river, maybe enhance it a bit more. I know in the past, I think that's been one of the biggest issues that we've had. Is it Fish and Game, Arnoldo, that we've had an issue with? Mm-hmm. But according to him, they have promised that they can overturn, or not overturn, but at least get the permitting process done a lot quicker through his department. So that'd be something that I'd want to take advantage of. And then I think the mayor had also addressed some concerns within our city, allowing them to voice out the concerns of our constituency, utilizing and partnering with the city as well. But we'll be working with the congressman too to hopefully try to find other additional resources and grants available. I wanted to mention the hospital, but again, I was muted. I couldn't get there. That's also being addressed, I guess, to the state level. We've gotten our looks like a partial grant money from that bill. I mean, but it's good to see that that's happening. But other than that, looking forward to participate in advocating for the Valley's transportation in DC next week. So I'll be out of Madera. If you guys need to get a hold of me, I'll be available through a phone call and what have you. But I'll be certainly advocating for our community's needs and transportation. So thank you.
Councilmember Montes.
Hopefully everybody had a good, safe Labor Day this last weekend. And I do want to say thank you to staff. I've been bugging staff a lot more lately, not just Joe, Will, David, after hours crews. So I do really appreciate everything you guys do. And let's keep up the good work.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes. I sit on the board for the San Joaquin River Conservancy, and it would be so nice. Our schools, our members of my colleagues here, if you would go out and just take a look around and just visit. But also I have posed the question of possible cabins along the riverside for Madera, so that we can possibly go out. The young people that live here in Madera, very few of them know about the Conservancy and going out to the river. So if possible, it would be so nice to have our staff maybe even plan something out there, but just utilize the river because it's beautiful and things are being done out there. We have a new director that's there now. She's an interim, but things are being moved along and she's really doing a great job there. Also, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for the work that is being done on the river. Public Works has been out there, and I truly appreciate that. You guys have been receiving major compliments from the residents that live in the meadows for the cleanup that's going on out there. As far as the squirrels are concerned, the squirrels are there. They are going to be running and they drop, and the pavement that's there, they create little havoc, but they're really cute when they run across the street. Today, I celebrate the death of my daughter 13 years ago. And so this is really a trying time for me to be sitting here right now. So I just want you guys to know that cancer is real. It has no name, it has no face, and it doesn't even have a dollar figure. So make sure you guys go and get your checkups, men especially, but it's real. So I just want you guys to just keep my family in prayer, because even though it's been years, it's still very close to our hearts. Thank each and every one of you. God bless you, and have a safe journey home tonight. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Mejia.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to the Madera District Fair for the invitation to the fair. I'm looking forward to attending. I just have to figure out what night my classmates of the class of 2007 will be there for our yearly high school reunion. There is going to be the Guelaguetza for the first time in Madera. Since the beginning of this year, a committee of members have worked together to fundraise and organize this event, and this is an open invitation to everyone, especially my colleagues, to attend on Sunday, October 8th at Sunrise Rotary Sports Complex. It begins at 11 a.m. It's from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And Vive la Guelaguetza. As the consul had mentioned, there is a large concentration of Oaxacan people here in Madera. And what this event will do is bring traditional dances, food, and the culture of Oaxaca to Madera, not only for Oaxacans, but also to educate all of the community about who are our neighbors, who is calling Madera home now. So would very much like to see everybody there. It's going to be a great celebration, and in the coming weeks, expect a formal invitation and also ways about how you can help to put this, make this accessible for everybody in the community. And with that, that's my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Villegas.
Oh, nothing to report.
Okay. I had the honor of attending the grand opening of the Madera Wrestling Club, which is just opened its doors on Saturday. They had a wonderful celebration. They had carnitas, and they had fruit, and they had music. They had a raffle. This is a tremendous opportunity for children to get involved in wrestling. I know that in past years, Madera has been famous for having wrestlers come out of our high schools and middle schools, go on to collegiate and professional wrestling. So that's a very good step in the right direction for providing more sports for kids. I also had the opportunity to, I was invited to the Madera County Behavioral Health Services building next to the post office there in front of the Frank Brugon Center. And I got a tour and I met several of the staff there. It's a very clean and welcoming facility for those who are in need in our community. As you know, a lot of us have been affected during the COVID and beyond regarding behavioral health and our issues with mental health, and they're able to provide a multitude of services. And they showed me the facilities. They completely remodeled the building. It's much more inviting than it used to be. It's very, very nice over there. And also very proud to say that Madera Community College has a brand new sports team. It's the first sports team for the collegians out there at Madera Community College, and it's the women's soccer team. And they had their first two games. They've won their first two games, including yesterday afternoon's homecoming game, their first game on campus. And they're doing a tremendous job. There's a lot of our kids have played soccer in Madera, done very well, beginning at 5 years old on up. And it's evident that that team out there was very well versed in the art of the beautiful game, which is soccer. And so very proud of President Angel Reina out there at the college and the coaches who have done a really good job getting that team up and at 'em. And like I said, they're 2-0. They've only played two games and they've won both of them. So kudos to them. That is my report for tonight. We will now be moving on to item G, which is our closed session. I will ask Shannon to make the closed session announcement, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are two items for closed session this evening. The first is item G1, conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. The agency designated representatives are Arnoldo Rodriguez and Wendy Silva. The employee organizations are Madera Affiliated City Employees Association and Mid-Management Employee Group. The unrepresented employees are City Engineer and Information Services Manager. Item G2 is conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. This is deciding whether to initiate litigation pursuant to paragraph 4 of subdivision D of the Government Code Section 54956.9. One case.
Thank you very much. To item G, which is the closed session. And are there any members of the public wishing to discuss the closed session item G1? Are there any written or Zoom comments, Alicia?
There are none, Mayor.
All right, then we will now close the discussion, public comment on the closed session item and adjourn to the closed session.
So that you can match
it. So we're using Joe's money to match it. And that's why we told Joe to hold back on building it.
For Shannon?
Because we're waiting on hear back on this.
Yes.
Yeah, we're constantly doing little things like that.
So I can see it out.
We're back there.
Thank you very much, Alicia. We will now reconvene from our closed session. It is now 9:02. Shannon, would you close out our session report, please?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. There was no reportable action taken in closed session.
Thank you very much for that. I now call adjournment. This meeting is adjourned at 9:03. I want to thank everyone for participating tonight. Our next meeting dates are Wednesday, October 4th and Wednesday, October the 18th of this year. Thank you very much and good night.